All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dear Last Mama, episode 5. Today, I have a very special guest with me. I have my sister-in-law, Saline, aka Noah's aunt. So, thank you for joining me today.
Of course.
We had like a last-minute cancellation, so I was like, oh, who can I have on the podcast? And I was thinking, what better person to have than someone from family, just to kind of talk about grieving with family and, you know, the process, because we're not the only ones who've lost Noah. We have secondary losses as well. So, or secondary grievers. So I felt like it would be a nice episode to have family here to talk about, you know, how it's been for them, and their grieving process with everything. So, do you want to, I guess, introduce yourself? Like, tell a little bit about yourself? Like,
No, not really.
do
What is it? I'm Saline, of course, but
we don't like
Sorry,
talking
yeah,
in front of the camera.
we're nervous, or I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous. It's okay.
But I mean, I've been working in banking for almost 8 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So time to find a new job. But
Hey.
But I guess we'll just jump right into
Yeah,
it.
we can get right into it.
Yeah.
So I know when Noah was in the hospital, when our son was in the hospital, we weren't allowed any visitors in the NICU. So it was only me, Rex, and then I was allowed 2 visitors, and I let my Rex says audio is great. Okay. I let my parents be the other 2 visitors because COVID was like such a, not like a huge deal, but like they were very careful, especially in the NICU with all those preemie babies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So Celine never actually got to see Noah in person throughout the journey. We FaceTimed her though, like every other day. It was a lot. So she saw Noah a lot and was able to kind of watch his growth and process through that. And then the day that he passed away, we were able to have family come. And so obviously she was one of the people that we called to come in and see him. And that was the first time she was ever able to actually like see him under the circumstances. How was that for you when you got that phone call from Rex?
Oh gosh, to be honest, it was kind of like at first, because like he called me, he was like, hey,
Yeah.
you know, I got, you know, things aren't looking too well at first, right? And then but he was trying to be positive about it, you know. He was like,
Yeah.
hey, they're gonna put him through surgery first. And so to me, I was just thinking, oh, you know, hey, it's no big deal, because literally that kid, like throughout every procedure, he came out on top. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like it wasn't like as startling first, because, you know, we were like how Selena mentioned, even for me, like I actually thought or had a lot more hope, because we were like, you know, hey, he's always come on top,
Yeah.
and he's always made it.
That's
so,
how I felt
yeah.
too. Like, I know the day of, even when they said, I know it's super weird, when they said like he was intubated at first,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, because like Noah's been through like intubation and then got extubated. So it was like always those little hurdles, but he would always come out on top. So like
Yeah.
even then I was still like, okay, like he'll be okay.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone really
Right.
expected it, obviously.
Because I wasn't trying to like freak myself out, because I
Yeah.
think it was pretty late too at
Yeah.
the time, or no, not even, maybe like around 8 when we got the first call from him. And so I thought, okay, you know, let's not overthink it, you know, let's not try to overcomplicate any situation right now.
Yeah.
And because I know that the unknown is always gonna be like scary for anyone. So I was just like, let's not try to freak myself out, you know.
Yeah.
But then you know, I kept waiting. I ended up falling asleep later because I was like, okay, I got work later.
Yeah.
But then when we got that second call from Rex, it was not what I was expecting, not what I hear. Because I was like, you've got to be kidding me, right? Like,
Yeah.
like this is Noah we're talking about. Like, are you sure you're telling me the right person? Like,
Right.
I even thought for a moment, like, are you sure it's not, like,
Yeah.
they got the wrong baby or something,
Right.
you know? Because I was just like, this is...
Well, because I think the last before that phone call that Noah was going into surgery that day, the day prior, it was like, we were talking about taking him home. Like, it was like, for all you knew, like, everything was going well.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was like a shock for you guys as well.
Yeah, because, you know, even, like, you were posting, hey, do you guys know any in-house nannies? Or nurses, sorry. And so we were just, like...
ready for him to come home.
Yeah, exactly.
And, just waiting.
Because you guys just, kept updating me, too. And so... I was more concerned about, like, hey, so when's he coming home? Not, you know, not what the phone call was. But then I think it took, like a good bit before I could even move from, like, where I was. Because Aaron was next to me, and he was just like, babe, is everything good? Like, what, you know, like, what's going on? And so I was like, babe, no, we gotta go. We gotta go. So after getting that phone call from Rex, like, I started panicking.
Yeah.
Because it was just one of those... no one ever wants to hear that. You know what I mean? Like, especially your own nephew. Like, you thought things were going well, and then, especially for you guys, it's not something you wanted to hear either.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And so, like, we rushed to the hospital.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Like, I just didn't care. I was just like, hey, we have to get there. Not gonna lie, we got lost.
Did you really?
We got lost.
Okay. Cho is huge. Not gonna lie, there's like multiple buildings.
Yeah, so we got lost, but then like just like walking and trying to find like which hospital, and then even going into the right one, and then just right when we got to the receptionist, we were like, hey, you know, we're here to see Noah. But like, even when we were there, I felt like it was like not hitting me still. It was just one of those where, okay, I heard about it, but is it real?
It's still like you're still processing that that's actually real, and you have never been to the hospital before, so I think like you being there too for the first time must have been like surreal too.
Yeah,
like
it felt like
feel real.
Because it was like really late in the night too.
Yeah, and so like no one was there.
No one was there.
Like,
it felt eerie kind of, and I was like, I don't like this
eerie.
feeling at all.
Yeah, because I think by the time you guys got there, it was like close to midnight.
Yeah,
it was late.
There was only just the receptionist and then the security guard there.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, all the stores were closed, and like there wasn't a lot of people. When they let you in, I never knew. What did the nurses say to you guys? Did they just let you guys walk back in, or did they say anything to you?
They didn't.
They just knew like who you were here for.
Yeah, because they gave us the band.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we did have that, and I kept it. You know.
Was it the orange van? Like the.
I don't remember.
Like they tape it on.
I think it was just a tape on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that.
They did print out like the little tickets and the time and date and everything. I kept it, but I was like.
Like what a date to remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then like in a way, when we got into the elevator too, like I did not want to go in. When we knew we were close to the NICU, I was just like, I don't know if I can do it. Like, I don't want to see this. But then in my mind, I was thinking after that, like, oh no, I shouldn't be like this, you know, because like I'm the older sister, so I should be there for them.
Like you need to be strong
like I
for
need
your
to be
brother.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so it just, I don't know, it was like tons of emotions then started like just overwhelming me. I didn't really know like what to expect. I didn't know what I was gonna walk into. And so it was just, it started to get really scary overall, because I didn't know like what was going on.
Yeah,
because we were like, hey, just come to the hospital. And Rex was telling me it looks bad. And I was just like, no.
So what did I
want to hear that.
That's all Rex said, because I was obviously in my own emotions, calling my own family. So like I didn't really know what he was saying to people. Did he say like Noah was like gonna pass, or did he say
no?
Like,
he was just like, hey, can you get here as fast as you can?
Yeah.
And then because I'm pretty sure he didn't want to just
say it.
Yeah.
And then it be real.
Right.
Yeah. When you say it out loud, it's like more real for you.
And then he started crying too, so it's not like, you know.
Is that when you knew it was like serious?
Yeah. At first I just thought, oh, maybe like the procedure was taking longer, and maybe he's just freaking out, like he's getting worried or something about it.
Aaron says you guys are killing it. Keep it up here for the support. Thanks, Aaron.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And then what is it? Yeah, so when we finally got there, and then they opened like the doors for you, and then we saw you guys there like drowning him.
Like a scene in the movie, right?
It literally looked like a scene in the movie.
Every time I think back to it, it just doesn't feel real.
Mm-hmm.
You know, having everyone there. I mean, obviously, like we've never had that many people in his bed space before because of like the restrictions. So it was weird, and it wasn't how I envisioned him meeting everyone for the first time.
Yeah.
But how was it when, like, I guess you saw him? That's the first time you actually saw him in person.
Like in person.
And obviously at that point he was like sedated and he didn't really look well.
Yeah. I immediately broke down.
Yeah, I know.
Because it was not like how I wanted to meet him. But at the same time, I was just like, what's going on? Like, why is he like this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, this little fighter, like, what's going on? And so, like, it felt really surreal because, you know, you never want to see a little child that small.
Mm-hmm.
And then still tubes everywhere, you know. But I understand that they were just trying to keep his heart pumping at the time.
Yeah.
When we got there. So it was like just knowing too that that machine just kept going. It was kind of giving me an anxiety, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, like, we've been there for 6 months, like in the NICU, so like we're used to the beeping noises and him being attached to all those wires. I can only like think that like your initial thought going, well, first of all, the scenario is horrible, and then with all the beeping and then the wires, like NICU is not like a great place to be anyways. So yeah, I think we were given like the option to, well, they told us they kind of like respected what we wanted. Like, did we want to have Noah go in front of everyone? Did we want it to be like private? And like me and Rex had talked before any of y'all got there that we wanted it to be just us two. With his last moments, and we wanted everyone to see him, and then we kind of wanted like the privacy of like just being together one more moment without like I guess people staring at us, you know, like everyone,
which makes sense.
Yeah,
I would have preferred that too.
Yeah. So I think after we had everyone see him, we like kind of kicked y'all out.
No, that's understandable.
And then me and Rex had like our time alone. But then what I didn't realize is that when the baby or someone passes away, like you get time alone with the body. And so like Rex and I got to be with them, but they told us that we could have had family like stay too
for that part.
Yeah. And like I keep going back and forth in my head because like they told me afterwards, after like some of y'all had already left. I think my mom and dad were like the last one who hadn't left yet. Y'all might have been in the lobby, I don't know.
Yeah, we probably still were.
But they were like, you know, like they can wait in the waiting room and then like meet you guys after. And like I don't know, we said no. In that moment, you know, everything's just so, you can't really think straight, you know. You're just washed over with emotion. But like I think back and I'm like, should we have like let everyone be with him? But then part of me was like, I didn't want that to be
like the last memory,
the memory engraved. Right, like yes, you guys could have held him and everything, but like it wouldn't have been like the same.
Me, you know? Personally, I don't think I would have.
I think
just because like
I didn't want to hurt anyone or scar anyone further than it needed to be, because it was already traumatic, like seeing him that way, like for us and for everyone else. But
I felt like it would have maybe, like just knowing that I'm holding my nephew, and his heart is not beating anymore. I felt maybe I would have like passed out on spot, not gonna lie. Because
it's a lot, and it's like I mean, it's not a normal thing anyway, so it's like holding a body, let alone like a baby's body, like it's just it's not natural. Even like when me and Rex were able to go back there, they were like, oh, like take all the time you need, and we were only really there for like 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. And like I had to give him back. Like I couldn't be, it was just too much. Like he had like an incision from his surgery, then they didn't sew him up, so like he was leaking fluid, and then like he's getting cold, and like you see him changing like right in front of you. So I couldn't be in that room.
I don't think you would have been able to handle it longer.
I couldn't. But like when I think back to it too now, I'm like, that was like my only last time with him. So I'm like, I should have just sucked it up and like spent more time with him. But at the same time, like in that moment, I remember feeling like I couldn't watch him anymore. Like he had already like died in our arms. Like that was enough already. Like to have to like sit there with it was a lot. But then, I mean, you know, in the moment, like you think things differently. You don't really think, you know.
Right, especially when everything is overwhelming as it is.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's gonna be or change the situation.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and that's the thing me and Rex talk about a lot is like we play back in our head like scenarios of like what we could have done that day, or like all the decisions we made like leading up to it, and it's like, yeah, we can sit here and talk about like the what ifs, but in the end, what happened is not going to be reversed. Like stressing ourselves out about it and like running in loops trying to make meaning and understanding of it isn't gonna bring him back. So I think that's one of the hard parts for us too, is just kind of accepting that, you know, what it is.
I wouldn't want to say it is what it is, but I mean, just the accepting part is gonna continue being difficult.
That he's really like gone.
Yeah.
We're like coming up on anniversary dates. I was telling you earlier, tomorrow's his due date, guys. March 14th. So, yo, this is your random foreigner viewer. What's happening? Hello. I don't know. We should have like a mod. Like, Rick should be the mod. Right, I don't know. Yeah. I just look up and see the comments. Hello. But what was I saying? I lost my train of thought.
His anniversary or his due date.
Oh yeah, his due date. And then like memories on Facebook are popping up, and like did you know Instagram now has memories for your stories?
Yes. I got one.
They just recently put that up like this week. So like I remember talking to my therapist about it. She's like, "Oh, I hate it. I wish you could turn that feature off because like you always like I see the anniversary dates and like the memories from this time last year when he was here. And like yes, it's happy and all that, but it's like reminding me that we're getting closer and closer to the end of the story, and I already know how it ends. So like it's like I'm watching it and I know that the ending is bad, and it's like I'm anticipating it. Yeah. And now I got Instagram stories to remind me of stuff, and I'm like, dang. But yeah, we're coming up close to his like death date, and so I know it's been a bit rough for me and Rex. Do you like how's it been for like you being Rex's sister and like watching him go through that? I know you've had your experience, you know, with what happened with Noah, but like you, I guess, watching
like my own
from
sibling,
a distance. Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's never easy, I would say, especially to watch like your loved ones go through something very traumatic, and especially watching because you know you feel helpless that you can't really do much for them, but like, or what I've slowly figured out is just being there can just be more than enough too. Like even if I don't have to say anything, sometimes I think that like him knowing that I am there is like, and for you too, you know, I feel like it's at least like a little something that you guys can try to like hang on to.
Did you ever feel like you didn't know what to say or do when it initially happened?
At first, yes, because I didn't think that this was gonna ever happen to you guys, you know, or to any of us. So why was you
sorry guys,
serious? Sorry,
Rex is playing video games in the room next door and I can hear him, and we're like,
so we got thrown off. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, I know. Like I know a lot of people initially, and like I'm conflicted about this too, is some people don't know what to say to us or like what to do. And honestly, it's like you were saying, like there's nothing anyone can really do to fix it. Like no one can come and bring Noah back. Like that's the only way it's gonna fix the situation. But it's just like not knowing what to do, but them, like I felt like me and Rex had to physically tell people like we just want to talk about Noah, like we just want you to ask about him, to keep his memory alive, to like listen to us. And like part of me was like, okay, well I can't expect people to know what we want because this doesn't happen every day to people. Like it's not like a normal thing for babies to just die, and like know people who've gone through that. Like it's uncomfortable for people to talk about or bring up. And so I was like, okay, I can't expect people to know how to interact with me. But at the same time, I was talking to my therapist about it. She's like, well, you're grieving and you already have all this, you know, weight on yourself. You don't need to add on educating people too. Like if they really wanted to be there for you, there's resources. They can look it up. They can ask you, you know, how can I be there for you? And like, I get that sense too. But then I guess the people pleaser in me, part of me wants to like justify people, like see the good in everyone. But
I mean, some people don't though.
Yeah.
Some people don't.
Some people don't get it, and you have to just tell them.
Yeah. And then plus, not everyone's a mind reader, so it's like
that I get too.
In some cases, you would have to just say it, and then But I think for me, I was able to figure out pretty quickly that, you know, I too don't want to just think of like Noah as just a memory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not like, I mean, sure, I didn't get to see him in person or anything like that up until his last moment.
But you were still a part of his life.
Yeah, because you
even
guys,
FaceTime.
Right.
You know, you were a part of his life as much as you could have been.
Yeah.
You know?
It was more of like what is it? I guess in this generation, more technologically involved.
Well,
basically.
Considering circumstances.
Right, exactly.
And like, I mean, you were obviously, I mean, I had me and Rex sat down and thought like, who really was close to Noah aside from like us and like my parents who like went. And the next first person we thought of was you, because we FaceTimed you all the time, which is why like we asked you to talk at his funeral, because you were someone that was, you know, important to us, but also like was a part of his life, even though not like physically there, but like we FaceTimed you all the time. And you were one of the people who like asked about him and asked for updates through his journey and checked in on us.
Of course.
And like, not a lot of people did that though, you know?
Really?
Yeah, not everyone. So, I mean, you really find out like who's there for you, like in the thick of it all, and who's just there for the hype.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many people when Noah passed away, they were like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm so sorry. Like, if you need anything, I'm here for you. And then after the funeral, haven't heard from them. Nothing. It was like, okay, like you said you were there for me, like where you at? But I don't know. Then again, that could play into the whole like people not knowing what to do and what to say.
I think just death in general, people find it uncomfortable regardless if it's like a child or an elderly person. I think death in general is gonna be uncomfortable overall. But I feel like you don't have to make it uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like, if you know, of course, like you've said before, if you know your resources, but also, like, if you just give more empathy to people, that, like, literally people just...
I feel like it's almost common sense to just be considerate.
Yeah. But people don't have that.
But no, you don't. Because then you have, like, idiots that are like saying the most insensitive things to you, or like the grievers.
Man, during the funeral, I don't even. Oh my god.
Oh, did you talk about the pastor guy?
Yes. Like, no, I kid you guys not. Like the pastor went on into a whole like political.
Okay, like... let me preface this. Okay, hold up. Like... Noah had just passed away.
Right.
I obviously was trying to like, okay, I wanted to be involved in the funeral because like this was like my last thing that I could really do for him as a mother, was organize something. So as much as it hurt, I wanted to do everything, like the program and all that. But the pastor guy was the one thing that, I mean, anyone who knows me, I'm not like super religious.
Right.
I believe in things, but like I don't know, like my faith's shaky obviously right now because of, you know, but anyways, it's beside the point. My mom's very Christian, so she had a pastor guy from her church, And she's like, oh, please let him speak, let him speak. And, you know, I mean, I was grieving. And I was like, all right, whatever, like, let him speak.
Mm.
I did not know he was going to say all that stuff. It started out okay. He started out okay. But then, you know how you guys have, like, those really extremists?
Yeah.
And then, like, oh, I hope my mom's friends don't watch this from the church. Guys, I'm sorry if you're watching this. I just personally, for me, the one thing he said that really, like, me and Rex looked at each other like, what? He said, like, you know, Noah's with the Lord, and, like, you know, babies automatically, like, go to heaven because, like, they don't know, you know, good from wrong, like, they're innocent. He said something along the lines of, like, if you want to be reunited with Noah and you want to see your son one day, you need to go get saved, is essentially what he said. And me and Rex were like, is he using this funeral as a sermon to, like, recruit Christians? I was like, what? Rex was like, no. I didn't know he was gonna say that, but
no, he really, like, to backtrack, he made it more of, like, a political kind of thing instead of actually, like, talking about grievance, you know, and then talking about the Lord. Instead, it was
his daughter.
It was weird all the way around.
And he talked about how his daughter died. Oh no, he talked about his daughter got in an accident, and we assumed she died, and when he was talking about it, but she's alive. I don't know where that story came in.
Yeah,
it just wasn't relevant.
Yeah,
and yeah, I don't know. Like, I just felt like, okay, we're gonna get a little religious here, because I was talking about this with my therapist the other day.
Okay,
like. Okay, my understanding, and I know you go to church, and so
yes.
you have your own views. So I was gonna get a little heated here.
Okay.
But from my understanding about God, is he's all loving, right? And he loves us, and he wouldn't want to purposely hurt us, right? If that's the case, then when people say things like, "Oh, you're not gonna go to heaven because you know, didn't go to church, or because you didn't do this or that, or you didn't get, you know, you didn't do things like a certain way," like, it just makes me feel like I don't see him as, like, the type to, like, judge like that, you know? For, like, to be, like, forgiving and, like, I don't know, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I think what you're trying to say is, like, hold on, I'm trying to piece it together now.
I forgot. Okay, my therapist worded it so much better than I am right now. But it's like, I feel like when people say things like, "Oh, you're not going to be reunited with Noah because you didn't go, you know, get baptized and, like, go to the church and be, like, super loyal and faithful," it's like, if that's the case, then he's having Noah be without his mom and, like, make him suffer because of me, or, you know, or
I think that, like, when people say it like that, it's them passing judgment, not God.
Yeah,
it's them, not God.
A lot of what I feel like gets misinterpreted, because you know how they say, like, the Bible's, like, kind of interpretive, like, it's, like, kind of how you perceive it sometimes, like, it's not just, like, cut and dry, like, this is what you should do. Like, I feel like sometimes the biases of, like, people get told instead of, like, the truth. You know what I mean?
So it's always gonna be those who are a little more, like, hardcore, or the Bible thumpers is what you would want to call them. But yeah, I would say those are not God's people. Like,
yeah,
because they're already passing judgment, but for what? We're supposed to be God's children, where we love our neighbor. You know, and then but I mean, we had, like, a pretty great sermon at Victory. You guys need to go.
My mom went to Victory and she likes it.
Yeah, it's great. Like, I kid you not, we're on the Beatitudes right now, but
okay, there you go.
Yeah. So
see, like,
honestly, I feel like you guys should go.
I feel like when Noah was in the hospital, like, we prayed a lot, and, like, you know.
No, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Yes, like, I was the same, like, when Noah passed, right?
Yeah.
I literally felt like I kept asking God why.
Yeah.
God, why, right? And so it was like, yeah, my faith fell a little bit, because I just felt like this was unfair to you guys, you know, like
Yeah.
why did it have to happen? But I mean, I'm still learning too, where like how to accept things, but at the same time, like I'm not into like yes, I'm into Christianity and I am a Christian, but at the same time, it's like I need to also do my own research and then read more of the Bible so that way I know
And find your own understanding and like your relationship with him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's unfair that other people come in and tell you
like what you need to do,
like
and what
how your relationship with God should be.
Yeah.
When that's not how it should be.
Right. I always felt like I wanted, you know, to have that faith that everyone says, like, oh, like I feel the Lord, or like I feel his presence, like I just feel it, I know it. And like, I mean, I would go to church with my mom, and like there was a point where I looked at the Bible and like read through it, and like I would sit there and like look into it, but like I never felt anything, you know. And I felt like it was just almost forceful. Like I didn't have a genuine like realization and come to like, you know, God and everything. But like especially after like with Noah, I feel like I think Rex feels the way. Yeah. And you know, like I mean, obviously, you know, in the beginning, like you feel angry, you know, of course, because like why Noah? Like why make him go through all of that and have him overcome all those surgeries just for him to be taken at the end? You know, like it obviously, like you said, it's not fair. It feels that way. But then, like, I think I saw a service a while ago. I just, like, you know, those online services they record. And I watched it, and the way they worded it, which kind of resonated with me a little bit, was that, like, God didn't kill and take. That he's just as sad as I am. That it's almost like you know how they said, like, he's all-knowing? Like, he could see that this was gonna happen, but, like, maybe not. I don't know. People always say, like, how can he pick and choose, like, who to intervene, who to save? And, you know, like, that's where I just feel like I'm still trying to figure out.
And wrap your head around.
I think I'm past the anger stage. I think Rex is still in the anger stage. The man's got a lot to work through. I feel like I still try to make sense of it.
Yeah.
And understand. Because I mean, I'm starting to kind of go back into it a little bit more recently because I'm wanting to make sure, or not make sure, but I'm wanting to know, like, you know, what happens after this. Like, there has to be something more than just this life. Like, before I was like, okay, you close your eyes, it's gone. Like, you're just nothing, you know, when you die. But that doesn't sit right with me for Noah to just be gone.
Right, exactly.
You know, like, he has to exist somewhere. Like, I don't think my heart could take it if he just was gone, you know? Right. And then I start thinking about, well, is he safe? Like, who's he with? Like, is he being taken care of? Like, you know, all those little things in the afterlife, but no one really knows about. So it's like, I feel like I'm trying to find my way around faith and, like, what resonates with me, what do I take from it, and what I believe, you know, more than what people are telling me, like you said.
Yeah, I think it's better when, I mean, no one ever likes to be forced into anything.
Yeah.
So I think for, like, honestly, that's how it was with me for a couple of years, because, like, back in Habersham, I went to, like, the churches there. It always felt like, you know, everything had to be engraved in you, but forcefully. But, I mean, when you're younger, though, of course, you know, you can't really make those decisions yet of whether you can believe or not. So you have to, like, come to God on your own terms. So I still stick by that.
Yeah.
So I would say take your time and don't, like, try to, like, you know, make yourself, like, fade away from him or anything like that. It's just, I would say come to it on your own terms.
Yeah. I'm still figuring out. I mean, I was never super religious to begin with all of it.
Yeah, same thing with me.
And
like, when I grew up.
Yeah, and part of me is just like, well, did this happen to me because, like, I didn't go to church? You know, like, by being punished. But then, like, I mean, I don't know. It's just a lot.
No,
that's a heavy topic, but, like, I don't know. Me and Rex are still figuring out. I mean, obviously, you know, when you're grieving, a lot of things and emotions can, like, cloud things.
Yeah, and it can.
And it's like an impulsive reaction to things. And I'm trying to just take that space back, because I mean, it's been 10 months. I mean, it's still within the year. We're still kind of like navigating through it all. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get that like feeling everyone gets. My mom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. My mom's just like, she told me one thing before, and like, she told me that God was gonna use Noah to bring me closer to him. This was like before I was like super religious and when I had Noah.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I was like, okay, mom, like, sure. And then when Noah passed away, I remember feeling like really angry because I was like, is this what he meant? Like he was gonna use Noah and like take him and then make me like have no choice but to like turn to him.
Mm-hmm.
And like to me, like going back to the whole thing about like what I know, what I think that God would be, like why would he do that? Like I don't see him. What was it? A scenario that I heard about a while ago is like if you had children, obviously like you love your kids, you want the best for them, you would forgive them, you wouldn't punish them for the rest of their lives, like you would love them. Like God's no better than us, right? So he must be loving to his children, us, like wanting us to want to come to him, not be forced to because that's what people tell us to do.
Mm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I just don't see it as him being like angry and vengeful. Like I don't think that that's how he's supposed to be. Like people make it sound. It's supposed to be like when I think of him, I want to think like all good things, like loving and everything like that.
Well, I mean, we recently learned this too, where you can't just only accept like the good parts that come with it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you should be willing to accept all aspects,
Mm-hmm.
because then that way you'll have a better, not just only the good.
Like
you know
God
what I mean?
being bad too, or like what do you
No,
mean?
like I'm drawing a blank.
Like in life, you mean? Like when you say all the bad stuff, you mean like the bad things that come in life, or like the bad things that come with like consequences, or?
To be honest,
You forgot.
Yeah, I forgot like what I was gonna say.
Honestly, like this whole topic when it
Yeah.
comes to faith, it gets confusing for me because I mean obviously like you guys are probably hearing, I don't really know what I'm thinking. Like when I'm just kind of like word vomiting like what comes in my head. Like in a nutshell, I'm figuring it out. And yes, my faith's a bit shaken with everything that's happened, which I feel like is very common. And if not, good for you. But for me, it's like I don't know. I'm coming to terms with things. I feel like when something like this happens, you want to blame someone. You want a reason.
Right.
And
Exactly.
it's easy to just blame God for it, And so that's why I guess this topic comes up, is because I'm trying to make sense of all of it, but in time, I'm figuring it out, But yeah. That was heavy.
I'm just not good at explaining
I
more
know
about it. So.
Well, like, and religion gets dicey too, which is like it's a heated topic.
Yeah.
So thanks for talking about it with me, because not everyone's gonna come on here and talk about stuff like that because it's uncomfortable. But I told my mom, I was like, "Do you want to come on this podcast?" She's like, "Yeah." My mom's got lots of opinions. But she's like, "But I'll probably just cry, so no." So I was like, "Okay, well, there goes my opportunity to talk about that."
Your mom was funny.
I was telling you earlier, like, I wanted to have conversations on this podcast that are, like, not always comfortable.
Yeah, and that's
good.
And,
like, raw and just as they come, so. Yeah.
Like, going back to, funeral.
Yeah.
Man, it was, like, I don't even know, like, I did not want to go in.
Yeah.
You know how like us family arrived first, or you and Rex and then us family, and so he was just like there at the end of the aisle. I was just like, I don't this. I just like when we were just waiting there, and even in the lobby too, I was like, okay. But I mean, at first, I was kind of glad that like everyone was wearing like the light colors because it didn't feel like one like a funeral.
Yeah.
But then
I told everyone, like,
yeah,
side note, to wear like colorful clothing to the funeral because I didn't want it to be dark and gloomy. I mean, he was like full of life. He was a baby. I wanted it to be like a nice celebration of life for him.
and then but it started to hit me whenever
You read the poem?
oh, like way before that.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. But it was more of like when I saw my other nephew, Attic. And then like he was just running around playing with like Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me I just kept thinking at the time, man, I'm not gonna see this kid run like this.
Mm-hmm.
Or like be a dork with Rex or
Yeah.
and so like that thought just kept like replaying in my head over and over again, and I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is unreal, right? I'm like, we gotta wake up, right? Like we gotta
Mm-hmm.
wake up from this. Like I was like, come on, like this is crazy. Like this is
Yeah.
not happening right now. Like
Yeah.
no. And then but I completely forgot like that I had to read the poem later until like I was reminded, and I was
Yeah.
like,
You got through it very nicely.
I was so it was like I hate being in front of people to begin with, so it was just like
yeah.
but I thought to myself, no, I'm gonna send my little one off with this little poem if I
Mm-hmm.
can. Then like when we went back, or like when everyone started like bringing their flowers, goodbyes to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I knew we all lost it there.
Yeah.
It was just no one wanted to say bye.
And everyone, is going up and seeing him, in there. And I mean, it was only a small handful of y'all that saw him the day of that he passed.
Yeah.
So everyone else that was at the funeral, obviously that was their first time seeing him. One thing that, like, I don't know, I don't want to use the word comforted, but like one thing that me and Rex noticed was that, like, I don't know if you remember, like, the day he was, the day of, he when he was intubated and sedated, like, he just looked swollen and puffy and he just looked bad, right? He looked The lady at the funeral home, like, she knew my dad. I think she was like a customer at our restaurant. And awkward, right? But she did a pretty good job with him. Like, he looked very peaceful, like he was sleeping.
Yeah. His little binky.
Yeah, they put
I was like, oh my god.
She asked me to bring a pacifier to put in his mouth because, like, when babies pass away, like, their mouth is like open. So she just likes it. But it was fitting for Noah because he was a big binky boy. Like, he loved
and
his
he always
pacifier.
had it. Like when I saw him too. So
the man loved his pacifier. He was always with it. But yeah, I feel like. Did you? I don't know. Super, like, random, but did you, like, touch him, like, girl? I know some people didn't want to touch him and some people, like, did. Like, that sticks out to me so much, like, till this day, because, like, I think they, like, froze him.
Yeah.
So, like, he felt really cold.
Really cold. He was
and
really
hard.
Cold. Yeah.
And, like, that was, like, another,
like, wake up call.
Another layer of, like, realization, like, damn, like, this is happening.
Yeah.
And, like, I know we decided to, like, cremate him and not bury him. Rex was really strong about that. He was like, I don't want to leave him in a grave, like, alone in the cold and the rain and the dark. I want him, like, with us. Got that too, but it's like I couldn't just think about him being in a little urn, like, that just blew my mind, like, having to the logistics of it all,
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. And then I started thinking, like, it's just his physical body. Like, you want to believe that, like, he's not in there anymore. He doesn't feel it. Like, he's not his body anymore. But obviously seeing it like that in that state sucks.
Yeah.
So
Also, like when ah, hey, is it just art? Is it just like Asian culture or
Asian
what?
people cremate. I don't.
No, 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 no,
Are you
no.
talking about that
No,
or like
no,
what?
like the whole taking picture.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on YouTube. Dang.
Oh man, like that like stuck in my head so bad.
We
for
had
some
to
reason.
preface to people,
Yeah,
not to take
like
pictures.
you guys even said it like on Facebook, on Instagram. Too,
Yeah.
like, hey, we don't want you guys taking pictures.
I think it's just our people. Like
shit.
they be the ones that do like Facebook Live. Like, okay, so I don't know what it is about our culture, or like I don't know if any other culture does this,
Yeah.
but like the OGs, like the older generation, they take photos of like the deceased or like videos, and I feel like, okay, like I'm not justifying, but I feel like if I am trying to understand it, it's that it's like their last memory of them, you know? And like I can understand me and Rex having one, you know, like that's her son, you know?
Right.
But like
Other people?
I didn't want a whole bunch of people taking photos of him and then like no, like it just not like that.
Yeah,
and it just wasn't appropriate.
It was not. I didn't think it was appropriate.
We had to preface to people like don't take photos, which you would think like people would be respectful enough to do that, but I don't know.
Yeah,
It's like a thing.
I don't. It really didn't sit well with me because I was just like, we had already said so.
Yeah.
So why are you doing?
And I think everyone was pretty respectful about it.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone actually did anything that we weren't, you know, wanting. And if anyone did, Rex would have definitely given him a piece of his mind.
That's very
like,
true.
That was probably the day not to mess with him. But yeah, I feel like that day, you know, I go back and I think about it, and like I have the live recording of like the service because, you know, it was live, and so like we saved it. Like I remember at the end I saved everything because like I didn't want to lose any piece of it. I mean, it's all I have left of him.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. So that makes sense.
So like that's all. I mean, I have the recording. I have not thought back to that day as often or like watch that video again. Like it's just not the way I want to remember him, obviously. But I feel like as the days get closer to like his death anniversary, I keep replaying that day. And like it's only what, March, April, May, like 2 months away. Like if I'm already thinking about this now, I can only imagine like the month of. Like I feel like I don't know how Rex will feel about how feels about this, but I feel really anxious, like knowing it's coming, you know, and not being able to like stop it. I'm gonna have to face it. I don't know. People who I've met who've gone through this say like the first year, the death day is like obviously like the worst because it's like you're replaying what happened. But I don't know.
There were times when like I'm just sitting there from work, the only one home for the time being, and then like quiet, and like whenever I am sitting in like space, I can't help but end up crying.
Yeah.
And then it's just I don't know, I try to think about his like all the little videos guys sent me, his happier time. I'm like watching his little cartoon.
Yeah.
But and there are times too when it's maybe I had like a rough day or something. So my whole headspace is already like very low.
Negative.
Yeah, negative. And so then like there would be times when I'm like it'll hit me randomly too. I could be at work just like trying to run a transaction, and then next you know I'm just hit with it, and then like I have to like excuse myself crying in the bathroom. And like I think like a month after it happened, it was just I didn't know what to do. So it was just like, I mean, of course I acted like nothing was wrong with me at work because you know it's work.
Yeah, you mean you do what you gotta do. Sometimes you have to fake it.
Yeah. And I mean I only had like people at work who actually asked like, hey, like is everything okay? You know? And then like I don't really had like friends who even asked like, you know, how are you? How have you been after? I mean I understand that you're just but And I was just
Well,
like,
still,
okay,
like, and
well.
see, that's insensitive too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
like, I feel like people have, and in our case in particular, like, you had your own relationship and experience with Noah. You know, it might not have been the same relationship and experience, you know, Rex and I had, but you still had your own. Like, my parents had their relationship with him. Like, we lost a son, but you also lost, you know, a nephew. Which is why I think it was good to have you, like, come on today and, like, talk about, like, yes, you know, the parents lost, you know, our son, but, like, you also are grieving too, and with your own experience, which is so valid. And, like, I feel like it was good to kind of talk about, like, what you went through, what you thought, what you experienced as a secondary griever to, you know, to what happened with Noah.
Yeah.
Because you were still affected by it.
Yeah.
And, like,
it's because we didn't think this would ever happen. So it just sucked though that the thing that I really hated the most though was when whenever we all, like, all of us, and then, like, whenever some of your would hang out, while, like, we're all hanging out, is that, like, in the beginning a lot of them were, like, very tiptoey when, you know, but like we weren't trying to justify that, hey, you know, you need to know this, right? And but I also feel like people don't really take the time to do their research.
No. If they like, you know that saying, like, if they wanted to, they could.
Yes, or if they cared, they would have.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
and that's true to you know, to an extent. Like, I feel like, I don't know. It all goes back to, like, us living in, like, a death phobic society, and, like, you know, especially, like, babies. Like, it's uncomfortable in general talking about death, and it's uncomfortable for them. But imagine being the ones living it,
right?
You know, and it's like, I don't think they, like you said, empathize earlier. Like, think about, people tell me all the time, oh, I can't imagine what you're going through. Like, I can't begin to put myself in your shoes. Oh, great for you. Like, I'm glad you don't even have to begin to imagine it. But it's like,
it's how you say
is that not how, like, okay, me being a kindergarten teacher, I tell them, like, would you want to be pushed? Like, you know, like, put yourself in their shoes. Like, I feel like we teach that to people early, that, like, empathy, like,
I think that was
treat others the way you want to be treated. Like, I don't know, I feel like we said, common sense. Like, some people lack compassion,
lack it,
but
empathy. I just feel like it's like there was never a time where you guys said, no, don't talk about my son. There was never a time.
And I feel like, you know, and I told a friend this once too, like, recently. I said, like, Rex and I are adults. Okay, we're mature enough to where, like, if there is a time and a moment where we don't want to talk about it, which probably is rare because, like, we like talking about Noah, we are, you know, able to say, like, hey, you know, like, not now, or, like, we're at that point where we can remove ourselves from a situation and set our boundaries that we need to, like, we can do that as adults, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, it's people don't have to feel like, you know,
it's not like you guys are gonna be, like, yelling at them just because, like,
I think the main thing is they're afraid they're gonna trigger us. I think that's the big thing. I think they're afraid they're gonna trigger us. And, like, honestly, if I sit there and start crying if you bring them up, like, just be there. You know, like, I don't think you need to be like, oh, she's crying, like, all right, I'll see you later. Like, like, no, like, I mean,
run out of here, deuces.
It's sad. It's sad. It's not happy. Like, it's sad. So, like, of course, emotions like that will happen. I think that just makes them uncomfortable. I wonder if any of my coworkers are watching this, but there was one time, it was Noah's birth week, and I don't know, like when people touch me, it just makes me cry. Like when I'm already emotional and like you come and hug me, it just triggers it more.
Yeah, I'm the
Anyway,
same.
so like I was feeling some type of way that week because it was his
Yeah.
birthday week.
Yeah.
And like one of my coworkers knew, like they knew, and they were like, hey, like, are you okay? And then she like touched me. And girl, I bawled in the middle of the hallway, in the middle of school. And then the other teacher like hugs me, and I'm like, oh my god, no, I can't stop.
Yeah.
And you know, like,
I don't know, I think it's just one of those like sensory kind of things
Yeah.
that make you that
well,
like,
I feel like hugging is
heightens
already
it.
makes you like emotional, like
Yeah.
it's an emotion, and
Yeah.
put on top of that like your feelings already.
Mhm.
And like, I mean, I will say those two coworkers that were with me, they stayed with me and just like
let you cry.
just hugged me. They didn't
Yeah.
say anything, they just hugged me. And you know, I appreciated that.
Yeah.
But then there was like other people who like walked by that was just kind of like, oh, like I walk away, like she's crying, awkward. Like, and I get it. I mean, we were in a weird setting. Obviously, if I could have controlled it, I would have controlled it. I wouldn't have cried at work. But like clearly it was a lot. But yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
I feel like if people know,
Mhm.
you know, and we can sit here and tell people, but if they don't do it, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because I can't tell you how many times Rex has told people, like, you know, I want to talk about Noah, and no one ever reaches out, and it's sad, you know. I know I have like a few friends here and there, but you know, there's just people who just aren't comfortable with it. So,
I'm sorry. It's because it's like we throw in a little bit of
I'll
shade.
throw a little bit of shade, but if you watching and you my husband's friend, you know, pick up the slack. I'm just kidding. But there's no excuse saying you don't know it because we're pretty transparent. But you know, I mean, it is what it is for them. Like if they're not going to take the initiative to, you know, be there for you or like research how to be there for you or how to be a good friend in this situation, then I mean, I've had to set boundaries and cut off friends that were no longer benefiting me, you know. And so like it's just, you know, like I said, you realize who's there for you in different situations. And when this happens, like, I mean, you kind of find out who's really going to be there for you and who's not.
I think in the end, like, as long as you're just, you know, giving that person that's grieving the space that they need, but also being empathetic about the whole entire thing, I feel like, you know, sure, it could be uncomfortable for yourself, you know, because it didn't happen to you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's, I mean, and of course you can only just imagine how the pain is, but you're not the one going through it. So to me,
the least you could do is
so the least you could do is just be empathetic about it.
Yeah.
You know, and just give that person or create that safe space for the person to grieve.
Yeah. Honestly, I think all that I really want, if I think about, like, if people ask me, like, what I want, is that space. But also, like, we don't want to feel like, you know, Noah's forgotten.
Right.
Or that you forgot. Because I think I made a post, too, is, like, people, sometimes I feel like I have to remind people that I lost Noah. Because they, like, see me working, they see me out and about. I put on, like, this good fake smile because, you know, you're at work.
Yeah.
And people just seem like, oh, she's good now. She's okay. Like, it's over. But reality, like, you grieve forever, you know. Like, there's never going to be a point where I'm over what happened.
Exactly.
Like, it's my son. But like yeah,
you just learn to live with it.
Right. And it's like, if people, you know, make that space for you to talk about what is important to you, that you'll, you know, that you're grieving, and not make you feel, makes it feel less lonely.
Yeah.
You know? And like, that's what I think makes it so isolating and so hard as a griever, is you feel so lonely because people don't understand. And like, they don't have to understand, but they can at least, like you said, make the space, I think, is the best way to put it.
Because like being like like, you know how whenever well sorry for instance, you know how like whenever people are talking about their problems, and then you have that one person that's just like listening to reply versus listening to actually listen. I feel like that too also plays a part. Whereas in like, okay, you see someone grieving, right? So you're
sorry guys, it's like my alarm to take my meds.
That scared
I'm
me.
old.
I was like,
You
what?
take my vitamins. Sorry, go on.
I lost my train of thought.
We're bad at this. You were saying something about like making space. People listening to reply versus listening and actually understanding and like you know what they're saying.
It's like it's different. I would say different for grievers because I mean they're going through an actual pain. And but it's gonna be something that they live with.
Right.
Of course, you're not gonna understand because you didn't.
Yeah, you get to see our posts and say, "Oh, their baby died. Oh, I'm so sad." But then you get to move on about your day.
Exactly.
And like it doesn't affect. Right.
Yeah.
Like we're with that forever. So again, empathy, girl. Like I feel like this all just kind of ties back like full circle. That should be the title of our podcast for today. But we've been talking for an hour. Good job. All right, I think we could wrap it up. Thank you for coming on and like being
I try not
really
to cry.
transparent. I know, and you know, it's okay to cry because I was telling her earlier. I was like, it's a sad topic. Like it's not you know happy, but thanks for coming on last minute and talking about you know how it's been for you. But thank you to the people who joined in on our podcast tonight. Next week, I have another Lost Mama scheduled. Hopefully that one doesn't get canceled. But if you want to join in on the podcast, you can go to my Instagram page and fill out the Google Doc to be a guest on here and talk about these uncomfortable conversations. But I'd love to have people on. But thank you guys for listening and joining in tonight. We will be back for our next episode next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye, guys. Thank you.